This week on Convivia, I get to sight. The guys have a race, and Richard
ask the important questions, such as where did you lose your virginity?
You're sweating like a pig. I hope you didn't take that shot.
Unfortunately.
We open up our doors and let the public in to see the world of Convivia, where we hope to make difference to lives in our unique business model, having fun in the process along the way. You'll meet Tyson and you'll meet the rest of the team. What a convivial bunch they are. Hope you'll enjoy. Start with it. Yes, please. Richard.
Roy.
Let's
hello.
go. How are we doing? That didn't take long setting this up at all, did it?
Yeah, how long has that taken? 2 hours.
Only about 2 hours.
So we've got 5 minutes left.
We've got about an hour and 15, 20. I think. Cool. So here we are.
Here we are.
Episode 1
Episode 1.
or episode 2, or who knows? Depends on where
Episode 6.
Yeah, exactly. Depends on where we finish up with our edits. What's this all about?
Well, today is about getting to know you, getting to know Roy, getting to know Convivia.
Yeah.
I've known you for
Too
12
long.
years. 12 years.
Yeah, far too
Which
long.
means I don't know you.
Yeah.
So we've talked about journeys, and it's about getting you to meet the guys and ask the important questions, such as where did you lose your virginity?
I know I said all questions are absolutely free to ask, but let's just say it wasn't in the office. Does that help at all?
Was it not
Yeah,
recently?
definitely
No, it's not recently.
No,
Okay,
no,
good,
exactly.
good.
Yeah, it's a couple of years ago, considering I've got very old children. Probably was a little bit before that.
Good.
Yeah,
Very good.
So then the question is going to be a little bit more on
A bit more
point,
structured.
a bit more structured thereafter. But anyway,
It is relevant to business.
Well, it is
isn't
relevant. I'm not quite sure
The
the relevance.
question, where did you lose your virginity, is relevant to the business. We know why. We're not going to tell the people why.
Absolutely,
And it is, I think, a really good example of conviviality.
it is conviviality.
And the way
Yeah.
it makes people laugh, really, and
Yeah.
interact. So I guess a more sensible question for me is, we talk about Convivia, so the question is, why Convivia?
Why the name Convivia?
Yeah.
Convivia, I was hugely inspired as a kid by Richard Branson and following a number of businesses as a kid, and I just felt that businesses that had a thread of something running through them, a philosophy, really helped focus and direct that business. And I thought that if there's any business that I was involved in, even though I was a lawyer or even prior to being a lawyer, I thought it just needs to have a bit of excitement, a bit of sizzle, a bit of fun. So I thought, okay, what name is there that didn't exist? I didn't want a real name, a real word. And I thought convivial, I had to play around with, joviality and looking around that word. There were too many businesses and Convivia, there was nothing there. I thought, it just sounded right and it captured everything that I wanted to do, which was have a business that anything that Convivia did had to have an element of fun. Fun had to be, or joviality, conviviality had to flow through it. So if Convivia were making a chair, it would be a chair with, I don't know, with sparkles on it, with little shiny silver buttons down the back. It needs to have a little bit of flavour to it. If Convivia was making a drink, it would definitely have to have sparkles in it. It'd have to be a fizzy drink. It'd have to have bubbles. Obviously that's not particularly healthy, right? But you know what I mean. It has to have a little bit of something about it, a little bit of a bit of vibrance, a bit of fun, a bit of excitement. You should feel good. If Convivia built a car, it would be a Mini, Cooper S, John Cooper Works, something fun, as opposed to I don't know. I don't want to alienate any car over there now, but it wouldn't be what's that electric not the electric, the hybrid one that all the Uber drivers drive.
So a Prius.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a Prius. It would definitely not be a Prius. And so that was one part of it. The other part of it was that it was important that in delivering that business, we had to have fun in the process. And for me, it just I felt that if you're having fun doing something, you can usually tell in the output, right? If a chef enjoys their cooking, you can taste it. You can taste it. You can taste the difference. You know, my wife will cook dinner. No offence to my wife, of course, right? Hopefully she's not going to see this.
This is being recorded.
Yeah, there's a good point. It's all right. She doesn't really cook for me that much anyway, so there's nothing to be lost here anyway. But if she cooks dinner, you know, she's cooking for a purpose. It's to feed. It's, you know, it's a meal. It's to keep you from starving overnight. If I cook, it's a major affair. You know, I've got music on, I'm drinking, and I'm enjoying it. That's the reason why I obviously don't cook very often. But when I do cook, I really enjoy it, and there's love going into it. And I like to think you can taste the difference between my cooking and her cooking.
Perhaps best to quit whilst others ahead. But why YouTube and why now? Well, there are many naysayers who say that what we're trying to do is impossible and it won't be done. But where there's a will, we definitely believe there's most definitely a way, and we will pull this off. So how better than to open up our office doors and let the cameras in, first of all to show that we are going to achieve this, and secondly, we're proud of what we're doing here, and we want you all to see exactly the passion that goes into everything that we do and the fun that we're having in the process of making lives better.
It's Monday morning. It's another week ahead of us. So much to do. So on a typical Monday morning, it's trying to work out what the sort of plan is for the rest of the week. Had a little go at this overnight anyway, so I haven't been taken completely by surprise on the Monday morning, just sitting here trying to work out what's happening. There's lots to do, as always. No one else is here. It's just myself and Tyson, but it's a good time to try and get some work done. I hate Mondays, really, not because it's a Monday, that Monday blues feeling, but Mondays are usually stacked with meetings, and I hate meetings. I hate meetings because, as far as I'm concerned, if we're busy talking, we're not doing. And there's a tendency, certainly within this place, for meeting upon meeting upon meeting, which really winds me up. So I've got a few ideas about how to reduce these meetings, but we are getting better at them. But generally, that's why I don't like Mondays. There's a few goals that we'll set for the week. The way that we're now doing it is at the end of the Monday morning meeting, which is a team meeting where we sort of run through what the ideas are for the week, what we need to accomplish, what happened last week, and so on. I'll just set some general goals, maybe 1-2 goals, which are the 2 main goals for the week. And if we achieve those goals, what I do is I give the guys a day off at the end of the week. You know, if they achieve the goals by Thursday, have Friday off. If they achieve it by Wednesday, have Thursday and Friday off. If they achieve it today, have the rest of the week off. As far as I'm concerned, I couldn't really care less, because this is all about trying to make sure that we get output, we get produce. It's not about having bums on seats, just sitting in the office doing nothing. I don't really care about that. The bottom line is, did we get done what we wanted to get done? There's going to be a few surprises that are going to come up for sure. I call them surprises in that they're not expected, or rather they're not anticipated, but they're certainly expected. I expect there to be issues that are going to arise. There's going to be some firefighting. Sometimes you feel like red a deer, the amount of fires you have to put out on a weekly basis. For the rest of the week, we have to make sure that our pipeline is focused on. These are one of the constants, if you like. Every week there's always going to be a pipeline objective. Without a pipeline, we don't have buildings, right? Without buildings, we don't have a business. Without the business, we don't make that difference. So we have to make sure that our pipeline is live. We have to make sure that that stays alive. And that's not an easy thing to do when you're buying buildings of the magnitude that we're buying. There are lots of moving parts. You've got vendors who are anxious to sell, want to get their money quickly, obviously. You've got lawyers, our lawyers, you've got the vendors' lawyers, you've got our funding partners' lawyers, and all of these lawyers in the mix can slow things down. You've got the funders not wanting us to commit to certain buildings until we know that everything works perfectly. We've got the vendors who need us to do certain things by a certain time, so they know that we're serious about buying the buildings. And there's a lot of conflicting objectives, really, so we have to try and manage all of that, try and keep the deals alive so that we have this pipeline to deliver.
So nursing them over the line is not as easy as it seems, but that's for another day and maybe another video. Another constant is speaking to our procurement team. They're around the world buying, so I'll have lots of meetings, lots of calls with them. The team will be liaising with our wider team who are out there in the field, if you like, speaking to suppliers, manufacturers, doing tests, sending samples, looking at samples, and all the other weird and wonderful things that they're doing, looking at payment terms. So it's quite mundane, boring and dull, but it's part of what makes this thing work, right? We need to get all of those bits and pieces in place before we can actually start moving forward and start to make that difference. I'm having to do a lot of PR bits and pieces, so that may mean writing articles, it may mean doing interviews. I do quite a lot of those interviews for various publications and journals who are very interested in what we're trying to do. So that is something that I need to be on top of as well. I fall behind on that stuff quite often because it's just not a priority for me really, and it really should be. So Q&As for various journals, I've got to do one this morning, which should have gone out Friday. I've got to do that this morning. That's the first thing that I need to attend to, which will go to one of the, I think it's a property or an investment journal, I'm not quite sure what it is. So I'll do that today.
But actually, I don't even know what your section is. The forecast, any updates on the forecasted dates or anything?
No. Because the only one update is just like the next one is in December. So it should be fine.
So, but Alex, did we have a budget in for a survey or something that we're going to send someone there?
Yeah, we send it because they're going to go and do a service and then they will pay for it. We pay for the service and certificate, which was about £1,000. But now when they're doing the service, they find a lot of faults.
Yeah. Was there a budget on the appraisal for that survey?
No.
As in for him just to go down there and have a look at it?
Yes. Like you say, dust. So I remember purposely even to the very, very end, to the lift to be even, remember the plastic? They are.
Convivia was created to make sure that anything that we touched by way of business had that element of fun about it, and also to make sure, of course, that the team had fun in delivering that business. The idea behind, of course, is that if you're enjoying something, the output is probably going to be better than if you were producing it with a frown on your face. So this is where we are, down at one of our sites in Maidstone, where we're simply doing just that. Now, there's nothing pretty about this building, there's nothing exciting about this building, what used to be an old office block. It's been empty for some time, just sat there doing nothing, because as you may have noticed, that there has been a shift over the years on the way that people work. Offices and demand for them has reduced somewhat. People working from home, the change in patterns of how we live and operate, it's all just gone full circle, especially with the intervention of the pandemic in recent months. So more and more office blocks are going to become available. Now, there's a real challenge in converting these types of buildings into accommodation. They don't lend themselves necessarily well to being residences, and we have a simple test in Convivia. It's not one of appraisals, it's not one of where we can look on a spreadsheet and see whether or not this building is a good building for us to convert into homes. It's not one of seeing whether or not the economics work. It's more simple than that. And the simple question for us, and the simple question for me is, would I bring my family up here? Would I live here myself? And that's the only test that we use when we are looking at buildings. Now, this is a building which is right in the heart of the city centre. You couldn't get more central. And for the private sector, this is a building that would fly off in droves. Demand for such accommodation, such homes in the proximity to the train station and all the amenities and facilities is huge. So the question here is, why wouldn't we want to put public housing in exactly the same location where those tenants can enjoy the benefits that would be had by those in the private sector? And that's exactly what we are doing here. But it doesn't come without its challenges. Converting a block like this isn't easy. It's not the prettiest of blocks, and the last thing you want to do is to create homes which inside look nice but outside the building still looks, well, like an office block. Who wants to live in that? I wouldn't. So this is where the challenge is. This is where the design, the architectural team, our designers have to come together, and we have to be a bit creative in what we do here, because the ultimate proposition has to be one which lends itself and is conducive to developing residences for individuals so they can enjoy living where they're living. So marrying this building also with our tech and our communal spaces, which is our hallmark really. This is what we do. We bring all those three components together to make sure that we can deliver accommodation which is by far above the quality and standard which is ordinarily delivered within the public sector, and we don't try and attempt to beat the par, if you like, in public housing. What we instead strive to do is to make sure that we can deliver those homes, that accommodation which is beyond par, which is above par for the private sector. That's where our challenge is. So we're not competing with average on public housing. We are trying to compete with the best on private housing, but yet still delivering it to the public sector. So with all that said and done, let's take a closer look. So here we are, all progressing nicely. A few issues on site, as always. Issues to do with materials and speed of materials getting to site and so on and so forth, but this is something that is affecting the industry, well, sort of worldwide it seems at the moment. Prices are rising and there are significant delays with getting materials to site, but that's all part and parcel of development, and it's something that we'll resolve. You know, we've got contingencies, we've got plans to make sure that we can solve these problems so that we're not wrong-footed. And these are the type of issues that come up with developments that can catch you out unless you are prepared. So development, it all looks very exciting and interesting and lucrative for those who aren't in the know, but trust me, if things go squirrely, which they almost certainly will, you need to be able to know what you're going to do to fix it, because that's when costs start to rack up and that's when the development can go way off course. So here we are, I'm sat down filming this bit, not because I thought it would be a cool shot for YouTube, but basically yesterday I thought I was He-Man. I tried to lift something and I discovered after attempting to lift it that I'm not as strong as I thought that I actually was. So anyway, here we are. That's me and my back. Not helping when you've got 7 floors to walk up and down. But anyway, enough about me whinging and complaining. My own fault, my stupidity. I'm not very strong. End of story. All right, so anyway, there we go. So site to the visit to the site even, get my words right. Everything's going okay. Some issues, not issues that are insurmountable, but there's certainly some problems that we need to look at with regards to getting materials to site quickly, because we're slowing the construction team down. Had time here with the foreman, looking over the building, showing me things that are clearly of importance and of interest, and it's usually issues of communication and people not doing what they should be doing. be it somewhere along the architectural side, the design side, the procurement side, the construction side. And usually these problems come about because there isn't that communication. So there's certainly nothing which cannot be fixed, but it's certainly something that needs to be attended to. And I just find that if the senior management are copied in on emails and communication, things have a funny way of getting moving. So let's see what happens. But all in all, very happy, great progress on the site, great progress with the team. Everyone's doing a remarkable job with all the challenges that come with doing something such as this. But all in all, no reason to be unhappy. So there we go. Good site visit, good job done, Maidstone, we're looking good. Oh, let me back. Not looking so good.
As the team starts to grow, we need to make more room for more members of staff to be able to fit into the building. So the guys, being slightly impatient and waiting for the professionals, decided to try and have a go themselves. And this is what happens when the pen pushers think that they're construction workers.
When she was
Oh, they broke the glass!
When she was
No.
No.
Yes!
Oh shit! Oh no, they actually have.
I knew it! I knew it! You can't give him one job to this kid. Not even 2 minutes and they're really must get out of this place.
Shut up, you stop laughing. I don't even know what it touched on. It's something. It's popped. It's not even laminated.
Somebody call the colonel!
So just in central London, heading off to a meeting, which is a Force for Change meeting where you've got various business leaders coming together in a quite an unusual format and forum to discuss change and how business can be a force for change. So central London, that's what we're up to now. Myself and Richard, the Colonel, we're going to go and see what this is all about. Hopefully we can have some impact and see what happens. An interesting event where absolutely nothing was off limits and you had an opportunity to table anything you wanted to for discussion. So naturally, I asked the question whether there's anything social about social housing. Discuss. And whilst Richard and I are out there trying to change the world, back at HQ...
You count down and then go.
Alright, we do 1, 2. Yeah, hold on. 1, 2, 3, and then I'll say go, yeah? Okay, yeah. 1, 2,
1, 2, 3.
3, go.
Oh, okay, I got 5.92. 5.92.
Yeah.
Alex. Well, as Alex races off down the corridor, we race off into another week, but proud of the week that we've just had, where we've managed to get another couple of deals approved. The guys have done remarkably well, and Convivia is looking all good. See you next week.